trusted news source, ABC6 News at Noon.
Hey, good afternoon to you folks. Thanks so much for joining us today for ABC6 News at Noon. I'm Casey Cantz. I want to begin today with the weather. We'll take a live look outside right now on really a nice day. It's breezy, it's cool, but the sunshine is certainly a beautiful sight over the bay there this afternoon. Skylar Spindler here with a first check of that forecast. Hi, Skylar.
Hi, you know what? It looks beautiful outside. A little windy now. Those winds have been picking up this morning and into the afternoon, but here's a look at our weather headlines. We do have those gusty winds that are moving through the area today. Good news, they start to die down later on tonight, but it'll stay breezy tomorrow. Quiet weather week ahead until we get into the weekend. Now we could have another wintry precipitation mix headed our way towards this weekend. We're going to keep an eye on that, but right now currently 50 degrees in Providence. The sun shines out, really feeling nice outside, and the winds are out of the northwest at 14 miles an hour. Looking at the temperatures, the futurecast wind gusts around the area. You can see that those are roughly about 25 to 30 miles an hour, mostly in those 30s around the Cape area. But this is going to continue through the afternoon in these 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts until we get into the evening hours, and then they'll finally start to taper off, and we'll start to see more like 15 to 20 miles an hour for those wind gusts. But let's get you through the afternoon. 50 degrees for 1 o'clock, moving into about the 7 o'clock hour, 39 degrees. These winds will stay with us through the evening time, and by 10 p.m., 35 degrees tonight. We're going to get down to 28, a little chilly outside. So those winds will be out of the north at 10 to 25 miles an hour, but I'll have your full forecast and the 7-day coming up here in just a moment.
All right, Scott. Thank you. We'll check back in. Checking today's headlines now. No deal this weekend, leaving the threat of a Providence bus driver strike looming. Union members overwhelmingly rejecting the latest offer from the First Student Bus Company. This was Saturday. Providence Public School Superintendent Javier Montañez had warned parents there could be a strike as soon as today. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but the possibility still looms for Wednesday morning if negotiations are not fruitful in the next couple of days. A spokesperson for the Teamsters Union that represents the bus drivers says they want better benefits and guaranteed weekly pay.
They should have, guaranteed weekly pay that's commensurate with that. They should have good benefits, both health care and retirement. So there are a number of issues there that, the company hasn't met the demands of the workers, and, we're looking for a resolution of that.
Now, First Student says it's offering drivers a pay raise of up to $35.30 by June of 2026 and doubling the company's mandatory investment plan contributions. Well, as the possible bus strike looms, Superintendent Montañez is set to attend a community meeting tonight. Montañez will join Ward 5 City Councilwoman Joanne Ryan at Mount Pleasant Community Library. He's expected to focus on new investments in city schools and take questions from parents as part of Ryan's monthly community meeting with leaders from police, public works, and education. That meeting gets underway tonight at 6:30. The driver of a tractor-trailer truck escaped with minor injuries after this rollover crash in West Greenwich. This was early Sunday morning. Take a look at these pictures. They show that tractor-trailer blocking all lanes of traffic on Route 95 north. This was at exit 18. Crews were on scene for hours working to remove that truck from the roadway. Take a look here. A home on Martha's Vineyard was badly burned in a fire Saturday night. Oak Bluffs firefighters, they were called to Laura's Way just after 10 o'clock Saturday. This is what they found, a home fully engulfed in flames there. Firefighters had to use a ladder truck to spray water down on the home. There's no word yet on what caused that fire. Back in Rhode Island, state lawmakers will hold hearings on abortion-related bills today. Of particular interest is the Equality in Abortion Act. On the House side, it will provide abortion coverage in the state's Medicaid program. It would also take away an abortion coverage exclusion in state employees' insurance. So basically, state workers' insurance and Medicaid currently do not pay for abortion procedures except in cases of rape, incest, or where the life of the mother is at risk. Now, Governor McKee did set aside $600,000 in his budget to pay for these changes should the bill reach his desk. Republican Senate Minority Leader Jessica De La Cruz said earlier this year her caucus is inclined to vote against the proposal on the principle that taxpayers shouldn't have to foot the bill for elective abortion procedures. That hearing gets underway here in a couple hours at 2 o'clock. Funeral services, meantime, are planned to honor Providence Battalion Chief James Varon. The Providence Fire Department announcing Varon died in the line of duty of occupational cancer last week. He served the city for more than 31 years and was just 52 years old.
The fire department, I mean the city in a whole, but particularly the fire department is a family. And I know that it's an emotionally distressing time for them. And so, my message for all of our firefighters, their families, everyone in public safety is, and that our thoughts are with that family and with the department as a whole.
And a procession happening this morning from the public safety complex to the Cathedral of St. Peter and Paul for his funeral service. Other headlines today, a woman was stabbed near the Kennedy Plaza ice skating rink last night. Police say this happened when that woman tried to break up a fight between two men. She was stabbed after jumping between them. Her injuries were not life-threatening. She was taken from the scene to the hospital. Police arrested that suspect. Checking some national headlines today, in the race for the White House beginning to fall into place. Potential candidates in the 2024 Republican primary front and center at this weekend's Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC. Once a must-stop for serious contenders, former President Trump headlining the CPAC event, insisting he'll continue running for president. ABC's M. Nguyen has the latest today from Washington.
The 2024 presidential race is heating up. Dominating the Conservative Political Action Conference this weekend, former President Trump addressing a mostly pro-MAGA crowd.
I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution.
Retribution, Trump says, including for those charged in the deadly January 6th Capitol attack. And despite facing several investigations himself over his finances, classified documents, and the January 6th insurrection, Trump insisting to reporters he'll stay in the race, even if he's indicted.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't even think about leaving.
Other big potential challengers for the Republican nomination, like former Vice President Mike Pence and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, skipping the event, which was previously a must-attend for serious GOP contenders. DeSantis instead on a book tour.
We have a big problem with the federal establishment in Washington.
One expected candidate who won't be running, longtime Trump critic and former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. Hogan saying he won't be seeking the nomination over worries a crowded primary might help Trump. Meanwhile, President Biden, who is presumed to seek re-election in Selma this weekend, marking the anniversary of Bloody Sunday and stressing the importance of voting rights.
Right to vote, to have your vote counted, is the threshold of democracy.
For now, Biden's only announced challenger if he runs, self-help author Marianne Williamson, making her second bid for the Democratic nomination.
My qualification is not that I know how to perpetuate that system. My qualification is that I know how to disrupt it.
Former President Trump easily won the CPAC straw poll with 62%. Governor DeSantis got 20%, and former South Carolina Governor and UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, who was jeered at CPAC this weekend, received 3%. M. Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
And there is much more still to come today on ABC6 News at noon, including protests in Atlanta turning violent outside the site of our proposed public safety training center. We'll have the latest. And a deadly COVID-19 outbreak at a nursing home in Massachusetts. We'll tell you what we know regarding that. And a billboard popping up advertising a show at a local theater. But it has some people upset. You'll see and hear why when ABC6 News at noon continues after this. Welcome back. Some more national headlines now, and a serious situation developing in Atlanta. The latest on that protest that turned violent overnight outside of a police training facility. Fires set, Molotov cocktails thrown, and dozens of people arrested. ABC's Morgan Norwood has the details today.
Flames were seen rising from the construction site of what will soon be Atlanta's new public safety training center after some protesters who police say had just left a nearby music festival threw explosives and Molotov cocktails at police officers and set equipment on fire.
During that attack on the officers, pieces of equipment and other items that were at the location for the construction of the Public Safety Training Center were damaged.
The demonstrators scattering as police arrived. Officers seen running after them in the woods, using stun guns to stop the protesters. Police arrested more than 24.
When you throw commercial-grade fireworks, when you throw Molotov cocktails, large rocks, a number of items at officers, your only intent is to harm. And the charges are going to show that tonight when we make the appropriate charges.
The training center was approved by Republican and Democrat lawmakers at the state level, and it's been the epicenter of escalating confrontation as demonstrators oppose what they call the militarization of police and the development of the forest the facility will soon be built on. But Atlanta's police chief says what happened was not a legitimate protest and that many arrested weren't even from Georgia.
This was a very violent attack that occurred this evening, very violent attack. This wasn't about a public safety training center. This was about anarchy, and this was about the attempt to destabilize.
No officers were injured in this incident. This is, though, the latest in a series of clashes with police. In January, a demonstrator was shot to death by a police officer. I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
And there is more still to come today at noon. We're going to get a full check of that forecast with Skylar. A beautiful afternoon out there right now. She'll have the rest of the day's outlook and the 7-day all coming up.
You know, it's nice outside today, minus the winds, but makes it feel like spring is in the air. We do have 2 weeks to go till we have that first day of spring. So let's start counting it down. 14 days until the first day of spring. So let's take a look at our almanac. The average 45 degrees. The record was set in 1935 at 65 degrees. Now we're not close to that, but kind of wishing it was like that today. So Providence sitting at 50 degrees right now. The sun is out and not really any clouds in the sky. Those winds are out of the northwest at 14 miles an hour. And as we look around the area, you can see a lot of those 50s and upper 40s around much of the area. So we are having a very nice day after all, even with the heavier winds. So these wind gusts are really starting to move through the area. You can see some of these 20 and 30 mile an hour wind gusts around the area. Providence seeing 29 mile an hour gust, and up in Worcester 40 miles an hour. So here's a look at these futurecast winds as we roll through the afternoon. Again, this is going to be just for the afternoon, so we'll be going through these 25 and 30 mile an hour wind gusts through the day. And again, up further north, a little bit heavier on those winds. But once we get into the evening hours, that does finally start to die down in the overnight. So here was a quick look at the futurecast. There is a system moving through the Ohio River Valley, but not coming anywhere close to us. We do have some increasing clouds on Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, we're getting out of this, any of these systems that are skating by us, but we're going to have a nice week after all. So today, we're going to get up to about 48 degrees. Those winds are going to stay out of the northwest at 15 to 25 miles an hour. So we'll have some clouds moving in this evening. And overnight, nice, crisp, chilly 28 degrees. Winds will stay out of the north 10 to 20 miles an hour. So not too bad. Tomorrow will be breezy. We're looking at that 7-day forecast. So 50 degrees was today for our high. Windy tomorrow, breezy, 39 for the high. Those winds will stay out of the north at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Moving into Wednesday, we do still keep those northerly winds around 10 to 20 miles an hour. Again, still pretty breezy for the day, high of 46, but we are warming up. And by the time we get into Thursday, 45 degrees. But you can see through the middle of the week, we have just average normal temperatures. So a nice mild forecast, very quiet weather for the week. As we get into Friday, we'll get into those upper 40s and flirting with 50 degrees by the time we get to our weekend. Winds do start to calm down by then, so we're looking at a north wind at 5 to 10 miles an hour. But Saturday, we'll have a south wind that does turn east, 10 to 20 miles an hour. We'll see 42, but because of that turning wind, that's going to bring us in some more moisture. That's going to bring us this precipitation, which could be wintry mix in the overnight hours. So as we get down to 29 degrees on the overnight, that's where things could get a little trickier and slipperier, is that a word? Slippery outside. So using caution and as we get into the weekend. But we're going to keep an eye on this forecast, especially going into the weekend with this impending wintry storm coming up. And that is what I have for this semi-quiet week.
All right, Skylar, thank you for that. We have more news still to come here today at noon, including at least 4 people have died following a COVID outbreak at a Massachusetts nursing home. We'll tell you what else we know today. And some local residents not happy about a billboard that just went up promoting a show at a Warwick theater. We'll take you there coming up. Welcome back. An ABC6 News update now. Massachusetts health officials tracking a deadly COVID-19 outbreak at a nursing home on Cape Cod. 4 patients have died. More than 70 residents are sick. This is at the Windsor Skilled Nursing and Rehab Center in South Yarmouth. 19 staff members also sick. A state-supported response team has been sent in to work with residents there. The nursing home isn't taking any new residents because of this outbreak. Protesters outside the GAM Theater in Warwick demanding a billboard be taken down off the side of the road that reads "Bad Jews." This was yesterday afternoon. That's the title of the play that is running at the theater this month. So community members gathered on Jefferson Boulevard to call the sign outrageous, saying it's especially troublesome given a rise in anti-Semitic hate across the country right now. At one point, Ken Schneider, a board member of the Rhode Island Coalition for Israel, brought his concerns directly to a theater rep. Take a listen.
We're not asking them not to put on the play. What we don't want is that sign on this road that's going to be up here for probably a total of 6 weeks. And it's normalizing Jew hatred, and it's got to end.
Nazi color, though. It's
red, black, and white are Nazi
that's
colors.
Yes, those are our season colors.
Oh,
and
so
they're
the
not. They weren't
Nazi
picked.
colors.
Well, that's how you want to characterize it.
Well,
that's
the fact. I'm not the first one that said that. It's the Rhode Island Council on the Arts that pointed that out to me.
Well, that's unfortunate that they framed it that way, I think, and certainly not the intent of the sign. The sign is there to advertise what we consider as a great play that we hope people will come and see and then judge for themselves.
Well, the protesters want state leaders to act here. Schneider's group filed a civil rights complaint with the state AG and also reached out to Governor McKee and Mayor Picozzi's offices. Still to come today on ABC6 News at noon, a recently retired doctor and World War II vet celebrating another large milestone. We'll have that story after the break. Plus, Skylar's got one final check of that afternoon forecast. Stay with us. Too. Oh, welcome back. He's a doctor and a World War II Navy vet, and Harold Batt now has another achievement to celebrate. He's turning 100 years old. Dr. Batt was working as a radiologist until just a few years ago. His 100th birthday, get this, happened at the same time as the annual centenarian celebration at Jewish services in Bridgeport, Connecticut on Sunday. Wow. Batt joined 13 others celebrating their big milestone birthday. Happy birthday, Dr. Batt. Many more for you, my friend, as we get one final check of that forecast. Skylar.
Yeah, you know what? Let's look at these future windcast gusts to get us through the day. We are about 25 miles an hour in Providence, so you can see some of those gusts up to about 30 miles an hour as we get into the afternoon. Now, luckily, it will start to die down as we get into the evening hours and overnight. It's still going to be breezy outside. Hour by hour, we're topping out at 50 degrees today, but by 5 p.m., 43 degrees. We start to cool off. A little chilly in the overnight, 28 degrees. Winds do stay out of the north at 10 to 20 miles an hour. 7-day forecast. Breezy for tomorrow, high of 39. Some of us will even be hitting 40, but by the time we get into Wednesday, those breezy winds will still stick around out of the north, 10 to 20 miles an hour, 46. But a very quiet week ahead, so a nice change from what we've seen lately, but we do have that potential of having some wintry weather mix heading into our area by the weekend.
All right, Skylar, thanks for that. Thank you, folks, for watching as well. The news continues first to 4. We'll see you then.